show you the warehouse where we've been recording the music video too. You can see them in here working on it. We ended up never actually using this warehouse to record any actual parts. We would always
What's up, man? I tell you what.
What's up, man?
Oh, how's the family?
It's been a while, huh?
How's the friends? So when I was at Georgia College, I was pursuing a degree in accounting, and I really needed to transfer to UGA to pursue that more fully. I had found out our friends were moving out of the house that Mike and Hondro and Ryan were living in, and so I contacted them about moving into their room. I knew Mike and Hondro from high school, and so I hit them up and they mentioned that they'd be interested in me moving in, that they needed a roommate.
I first came to Milledgeville in fall 2012 for college at GCSU. And Steven Ledbetter, who's the drummer for Monty.
I'm Steven and I play drums.
We both came around the same time. And we've been playing music together since we were about 10 years old. His main thing's always been the drums, mine's always been the guitar, and so we're just always kind of working on stuff together. We play really late, so we'll probably be kind of delirious, but hopefully that'll play into...
We're doing sort of a sleepy time set tonight.
Really loud sleepy time set.
Yeah.
And I was a band kid, did the whole marching band, jazz band, stuff like that. But at a certain point I realized, like, you can't just go to a party and play saxophone and get the ladies, so I taught myself guitar and immediately started writing. As soon as I learned a few chords, I would try to make my own songs instead of covering other people, and I've been doing that ever since.
Mike and Hondro and Ryan were starting to work on some songs for family and friends that Mike had. Every night they'd come home from practice and I'd be like, so y'all need a guitarist? Like, what's going on? And eventually they hadn't asked me, so I kept just sitting in my room. They'd get home from practice and I'd turn up my amp and play some guitar for them, you know.
Our first album, Officer, I started recording pretty much my freshman year here. It was probably a 3-year-long project because it was just kind of little by little. And we put that one out in, that would have been fall of 2015. And pretty shortly after that, Basic Brilliance came out. And that one I just recorded within a couple of months, and that was just me as well. And that would have come out in April of 2016. And then we had already formed the band at that point, so we started writing the music for I Can't Hear What They're Saying, but I Think I Get It all throughout the next year. We recorded it summer 2017, put it out August 21st, 2017, the day of the solar eclipse.
JP kept playing his guitar loud enough upstairs that we kind of felt forced to ask him.
And eventually they had scheduled a show and needed an electric guitarist, and so I went over and started rehearsing some songs with him and writing some parts and seeing what they thought, and they still haven't asked me to leave, so.
And it worked out for the best.
My goals for Monty are to just kind of write it as it is and, you know, see what happens. We're currently trying to play a lot more shows and make it more of a live shared experience. And what we have going with our little triangle right now between me, Steve, and Clark it feels like a really exciting, wonderful, fresh, new thing. And to be able to give that life consistently its own new, unique life from show to show, I think is a big goal of ours right now, to make it a present experience wherever we're at, and to invite everybody in the space into that experience, not just a replication of something of the past, but to keep it present, to keep it a shared present experience.
Doing a plug for Stacy.
So this is, we just want to support Stacy, a good friend of ours. I'm not sure where Stacy is.
This.
Yes.
This is the merch box, CDs and stuff in it, or some of them.
I think the goal for Family and Friends has always been to tour and meet new people, continue to put out music, but to more than anything, be able to relate to the people that we're meeting on the road and touring, and that to know that our music has some sort of positive effect on them. But those are always the best moments, when we actually get to play a show and meet the people that came out and know that we've had some effect on their lives and that they have a positive effect on ours as well.
I think one of the advantages of starting in a small town is you have like a close network of friends and people who are going to come out and support you and be excited for you. You know, it's not just like a band from out of town coming in, and you might show up at a show, you might not. When you start off in a small town, it's like people are excited. It's an event, and you like go hang out with all your friends and party at a show.
We've had a small fan base, I guess, develop here. I think the fan base is more just like friends who, you know, are interested in what friends do. But I mean, there's definitely, I think, people that listen to our music, and as time goes on, I think more and more, which is encouraging to see. It's fun to be able to share music and to share art with friends, and playing in a town like Milledgeville where we all run in tight circles and see each other all the time. It's encouraging to be able to share art with people in such a community.
There are a lot of similarities and also some differences playing music in Athens and Milledgeville. Both have some of the craziest crowds I think that we've ever played to. There's a real passion for music. I think the main difference is Athens has that set up to be a music town with certain venues and venues that are primarily for specifically music with different sizes. You know, you can have bands that are first getting their start, or you can have nationally touring bands come in and play. Whereas Milledgeville has the passion for music, that's certainly there, but it's more of like a bar atmosphere, you know. When we've played in the past, it's, you know, restaurants making way so that music can happen, but it's not necessarily set up in the same way that Athens is to cater towards a music community.
Biggest obstacle that I've experienced in Milledgeville as a musician has probably been, you know, the size of the town, and there's only so big that a music scene can be in a small town. Being in a place like, you know, Athens or Atlanta would be, there's definitely more going on there, more to plug into, more momentum to be gained. And so that's been definitely an obstacle. It feels like there's only so much we can do here. But at the same time, it's given us this, I think, healthy, like, creative isolation for thus far, to be able to kind of do our own thing and to go within and work from there instead of responding to a scene that's already present. It's very much kind of just, we have our influences, but then we kind of retreat and create.
Yeah, we're taking a break right now. So we've been doing that since like 8 in the morning.
All right, so this is the hallway that we spent a bunch of time in. We recorded the sound of these lights buzzing actually on one of the songs. So the space is definitely a big influencer for the album. I'll show you where we recorded everything. Call it the Infinity Room. It was room 8, but we turned it sideways. Because we would spend an eternity in this room. And it was filled with instruments, and the computer desk was right here with the monitors and everything. The drums were right there, all the guitars, the keys, the bass. Geez, yeah, just like sleepless nights in here constantly. It was a magical space to be. Yeah, so it's always trippy to be back in here. Lots of magical times in here. Yeah, the crowd that you end up reaching in late night bars tends to be a little bit restricted, because even though you do get a lot of different people, you know, it's late night bars, and so it's the impression that you leave isn't always so focused on the particulars of the music. It's, you know, usually a hazy experience past like 11 o'clock at night. So definitely our music, I think, calls for more subtleties and like delicate parts where late night bar isn't quite our vibe, but that's kind of what we work with in this town.
You know, we haven't played Milledgeville in a little while, but I know that every time we'd come there, it would just be really rowdy and really fun. And I think it's one of those things that kind of outlines the necessity for more music and more shows in Milledgeville, and also there's a really strong demand for it. And that's been one of our favorite things. Our first show there was this house show that our friend Jeff Crane threw in one of his friends' backyards. And we went in there not knowing what to expect and just being blown away by how much fun it was. And I remember we were running a power line from inside an old Milledgeville house to this backyard, and we were drawing all the power from one source, and anytime like I'd hit a big chord, everything would shut off. Like my entire amp board setup would shut off.
Having a music venue in a town, I think, would change the game to creating a music scene and to giving it momentum. Because having a music venue versus just having a bar or restaurant or something to play at makes a statement that, you know, the town appreciates the arts and appreciates the music. Having a venue says our intention for gathering here is the art, is the music. I mean, there's more and more music coming here. There's more touring bands that come here. And so to have a venue, even, you know, if whoever were to open it, it might be a risk to open, I think would push forward a growing art scene in a town like this.
One of the reasons we decided to even pursue music was growing up, going through college in Athens and seeing bands that had done it and were able to do it. Kind of, there's a certain formula there that I think starting out in a small town, especially a music town like Athens, is incredibly viable, whereas I don't know if we would have that same plan in a bigger city.
So even though like we might play a larger venue in Athens than what is present in Milledgeville, there's still like that energy that is really, really palpable and really fun.
I would love it if Monty could be a career for me. I'm not banking on it by any means, but you know, that's the dream.
And I feel like when you start in a small town, especially, people feel invested. And you know, that's kind of one of the things for us from the beginning is we would be nothing and we would be nowhere without the people who have been coming to the shows from the beginning, without the people who are excited, without the people who will, you know, share Facebook posts or post pictures, you know, whatever. Like, those are all the people that make it happen. And when you start in a small town, you get that kind of investment, you get that kind of community built up around you, and that's when, not necessarily when you really start to succeed, but when there's like a gathered vision there, I feel like it's a lot more exciting and a lot more powerful.